Hello, and welcome to Notes9. I'm David Leedy. Episode 32, Testing XPages. If you want to be the best, then you need to test. Okay, today is a show that I'm excited to do because we have a brand new contributor on, and I've asked Peter Presnell to come on. And Peter works for GBS, and his title, and I have no idea what it means, but I think his official title is Effort of the Ineffable. And again, they do some kind of weird, crazy things over at GBS, and I'm sure it means something. But he's got a website on at bleedyellow.com, blogs/domino, and one of his big claims of fame. There's been many, but one of his big claims of fame in recent age is the Power of Notes series, which is, I think it's up to 17 parts. Where what Peter does, I perceive, is he's a key tester of the Transformer product that GBS is working and has developed. And as part of the testing process, he had to learn what the old Notes client needed to do. And Peter took the time to document a lot of things that he has found on the Power of Notes series. And it's highly recommended reading for whether you're in XPages or not. It's just good reading to see what Notes does and how it works. So I do recommend that. But Peter's going to come in to test, and he's going to do, I think, about 10 tips. Now, they're not really in order of easiest to hardest. Some may seem a little more difficult, but stick around to the end because they're not all going to be that way. Some are pretty, well, they're all probably pretty important, but some are more reachable than others, I think. So without anything else, here's the demo.
G'day, my name is Peter Presnell, Effer of the Ineffable at GBS. Today's presentation is 10 tips for testing XPages. Let's start with a question. Is testing more important for XPages? Based upon my own experience, the answer would be yes, yes, and did I say yes? Testing an XPage application will consume more time and cost than Notes Classic. This is because much of the XPage code runs on a server, making it harder to test. There is usually both a client and a server layer that must now be tested. There is often the need to test the application on multiple browsers and even multiple versions of the same browser. If you get it wrong in any way, the browser and XPages itself is much less forgiving than the Notes client. Also, XPages is new to many of us, and we will make more mistakes in those early learning days. There's nothing like taking on a new technology to make you feel like a novice once more, and I have all the scars to prove it. So let's look at 10 quick tips on testing an XPage application. In no particular order, number 1, consider adopting test-driven development as a philosophy for your XPage projects. There is an excellent book by Kent Beck on this subject I would recommend if you're interested in this topic. At the very least, think about how you will test your applications before you start. There are a lot of benefits to be gained by building your application in a way that can be easily tested. If you don't, you may find the first 10% of your project time may be spent writing the code and the next 90% is spent getting it to work. Wherever possible, consider Java as an alternative programming language to SSJS, especially if you already feel comfortable with Java and Eclipse. The testing tools for Java are way better than SSJS. This includes projects such as JUnit for unit testing. When developing Eclipse plugins, don't forget to use the built-in Eclipse log and trace viewers available via the menu option Help Support. One of the first things you should do after creating an NSF for use with an XPage application is setting the XPage property to display the standard server error page. This will provide a stack trace each time your code crashes, and believe me it will, many times. You can turn this off before deploying the application into production, or even create a special custom error page. Test your application using either Firefox or Chrome, even if the application will only be used by a browser such as IE. Debug tools such as Firebug or Chrome Developer Tools will help you debug most of your issues before you then confront those nasty IE issues that are almost always there. Better still, if your company is going to be doing a lot of XPage development and they are still using IE, Try to convince the company they will save a lot of development time and money building applications if they were to start using a decent browser. Next, I would like to make a mention of a great project available on OpenNTF. Tommy Valand has developed a tool that allows XPage developers to inspect the current state of any XPage using a range of features he has provided. This is just one of a number of really cool XPage applications available. So if you haven't already visited OpenNTF, or it has been a while since you were there last, make a point to have a look at www.openntf.org. Sahi is an open source automation and testing tool that will allow you to generate scripts that can then be automatically executed to verify the behavior of a web application, including XPages. There are a large number of tools out there in this space. Many are commercial, third-party products, and some, such as Sahi, are open source. One of the key advantages you gain from XPages is that it is ultimately just a web application, and hence many of the web testing tools can be used. Another open source tool to look at is Mylyn. Mylyn has an Eclipse plugin that works with Domino Designer for Eclipse that allows you to automate task and application lifecycle management. Using this tool, you can record to-dos, defects, etc. from within DDE for later follow-up or reporting. I don't think this can be overemphasized enough. When you start writing your JavaScript, server-side JavaScript, or Java code, you need to be very mindful of the need to trap and log errors absolutely everywhere. Take the time to fully understand the try-catch statement. Also decide early on in your XPage development as to what is going to be the best way to log errors as they occur. This could include writing console message, adding a message field in a debug section of each XPage, or using a logging database such as Julian Robichaud's OpenLog project on OpenNTF. And finally, there is one more OpenNTF project well worth taking a look at. This one is from Ferry Cranenberg, who provides a custom control that can be added to each XPage that allows you, the developer, to inspect the content of scope variables such as application scope, session scope, view scope, and request scope. Thank you, and back to you, David.
And that's the demo. Thanks, Peter, for coming on the show. I do really appreciate it, and there's a lot of good information there. If you have any questions for me on anything other than testing XPages, here's my contact information, and I thank you for your time.